Raila Amolo Odinga, perhaps the Kenyan with the biggest influence in our politics, for decades, is set to exit the local political scene by retiring, by giving up his post of party leader of the Orange Democratic Movement, a party that he founded. Now, it is true that the people of Kenya and Raila Odinga are currently not on talking terms. That is a fact, and we all know why. A vast majority of Kenyans feel betrayed. But even if you're not on talking terms with your wife, and now she's about to leave, although you're still not talking, it is important, it is critical for you to analyze what is going to happen after she leaves, what the consequences are going to be going forward. Because, tuambiane ukweli, Raila Odinga has been Kenyan politics, and Kenyan politics has been Raila. We cannot run away from that fact. And for us to be able to accurately understand where we're going as a country, what is going to happen after this, it is important that we look at what is going to happen when Raila Odinga vacates his party leader position. Okay? You know, most Kenyans don't understand the dynamics around the name Raila Odinga, around the personality Raila Odinga in Kenyan politics. And this is why I want to give you a quick example. In 2017, Uhuru Kenyatta had a very interesting presidential campaign. Okay? And a very important part of his strategy was his main opponent, Raila Odinga. The Uhuru Kenyatta campaign team spread a lot of very ridiculous rumors to voters in the Mount Kenya region. Let me just remind you of one. It was said that one of the first things that Raila Odinga would do after winning the 2017 presidential elections would be to pass legislation that would force all Kikuyus to wear kaptulas. To a casual observer, all that was nonsense, unnecessary. However, when you look at it a little more deeply, especially at the repeat elections, after the first elections were nullified by the Supreme Court, especially the repeat elections in 2017, and then the 2022 presidential elections, one thing came out very clearly. People from the mountain, especially the house of Mumbi, usually do not vote. Okay? And for you to get them to the polling station, you need to convince them that their house is going to burn. That's really what it is. And so the benefit of hindsight, kumira, depended a lot on anti-Raila venom. Okay? Not the right thing to do, yes, but very smart political strategy. And so, Raila's role in Kenyan politics, whether we like it or not, whether we want to ignore it or not, has been huge. And now we're being told he is preparing to exit. Now, I need to warn you early. There is a major bombshell coming later on my show today, which you'll need to sit down. Yani, you'll hear me saying it, you'll say apana, you'll sit down. Yeah, that's something to look forward to. But let us start with how we reached where we have reached today, because the biggest issue here is Doesn't Raila Odinga have some unfinished business? Of course he does. Forget for a second that his legacy is in tatters. But the truth is leaving us in a very, very bad situation. And that's not all. In leaving us, he is now closer to President William Ruto, whom a vast majority of Kenyans believe is the source of most of our problems in Kenya today. And for those of us who have followed the political career of Raila Odinga for decades, this is just not Raila. Okay? And that is why a lot of people want to believe, the rumor circulating, the belief amongst a vast majority of Kenyans, that Raila is not exiting local politics because he wants to. It is because of pressure from those who want to organize Kenya. Wale wanataka kupanga Kenya ikae njia fulani ndo afanye mambo yao. That is the belief of very many political analysts, including yours truly. And here there are many things that raise eyebrows. For instance, when somebody is retiring from politics, you don't announce it in advance, do you? Usually what happens is that the person feels, okay, I've had enough of this, I now want to retire. And then they call a presser, and it's done. But here, we're in a situation where we seem to be having a campaign. A kind of advertising campaign, building up to his retirement. Now, isn't that strange? It's extremely strange. So, there is plenty to tell us that things are not what they seem to be over this Raila Odinga issue. And that's not all. Some insiders are saying it is too early to talk about Raila's retirement and replacement. Okay? What should happen is that we should wait for the election results for the African Union chairmanship, which should come in sometime in February next year, 2025. And then after that, ODM will chart the way forward. Now, I don't know why I'm suspecting that those in the party who are talking like this believe that Raila is not getting that AU post. Well, I'm going to surprise you. I too believe that he's not getting it. And that's not all. That's not where the surprise is. I also believe that the people carrying out this campaign, the people who are so eager for Kenyans to accept that Raila is going to be the next AU chairman, they too do not want Raila to be chairman of the AU. Now, I know that sounds confusing, but if you've taken in my latest special report about the decoy of the century, you will totally understand what I'm talking about. And for those of you who've taken in this highly sensitive special report I've done, there is something else that has happened. Actually, the utterances of the governor of Homa Bay, Gladys Wanga, that would seem to confirm the content or the contents of that special report. What did Gladys Wanga say? Let me quote her verbatim. There is still a lot of time before the AUC election. It is only after the election that party organs will have such discussions. Of course, these are the discussions about who will take over from Raila. Let me continue. At the moment, it is like trying to inherit someone's wife when he is still alive. That is what Gladys Wanga says. Very interesting. At the moment, we all know that Kenyans are very mad at Raila. They're angry. They don't even want to hear that name. Okay? Which has never happened before during Raila Odinga's long, illustrious political career. This Kenyan has support from every corner of the country called Kenya. Yeah, and his performance in elections since the year 2007 to the very latest, the year 2012, proves this beyond any reasonable doubt. And therefore the obvious political question to ask here is, where will all those supporters go? Where have they gone? Because there are millions. Where are they going to shift their support to? That is really the huge question, and indeed very critical question Kenyans need to ask themselves. Because remember, Kenyans have become very politically aware. That's obvious. And therefore going forward, the masses, whether you like it or not, and it doesn't matter how things look right now, but it should be more than obvious that going forward, the masses will have the biggest impact in Kenyan politics. Hao ndo watakuwa wa kusema. What they say will be it. Okay? And therefore it is important to at least get an idea of where most of this support will go. And I'm going to give you the surprising answer immediately after this brief message from our sponsors. LemFi, formerly Lemonade Finance. Now this is an app for sending money to your loved ones back home. And you can send money to at least 10 African countries. Kenya, of course, Ghana, Nigeria, Uganda, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, Rwanda, Senegal, Benin Republic, and Tanzania. And there are a couple of advantages here. 0 transaction fees, one of the best exchange rates on the market. Direct transfer either to a bank account or even to Mpesa. And then, wait for this one, you can also receive money from Kenya. And again, 0 transaction fees. I suggest that you try it out. You may just like it. And if you can use my code, which you can see on your screens right now, KUMEKACHA, not Kumekucha, KUMEKACHA, you'll be able to receive $30 back for your first transaction that is above $100. Try it out and let me know how it goes. Now, the answer to that question I've just asked, where Raila Odinga's support is going to go, where his support base is going to go, or at least most of it, is going to shock most of us to the bone. And this is not just Chris Kumekucha saying. If you take a little time to read between the lines, or even to listen between the lines, in all the political content you're taking in, you will totally see and agree with this very shocking answer to that question. Most of this support will go to the Gen Z movement. Yeah. Now, I need to tell you, if you are relying on social media to get an accurate gauge of how Luo Nyanza is taking the latest political developments, especially that of Raila joining Ruto, if you're looking to social media to give you the right answer, you will get it very wrong. Over the last few weeks, I have been on the ground in Luo Nyanza, and most people on the ground are as angry against Raila as the rest of the country. And most of them, a huge percentage of them, are behind the Gen Z and the political candidates that the Gen Zs are bound to present going forward. And so what that means, bila kizungu mingi, is that all those members of the ODM party who are right now scheming, doing everything in their power to inherit the party leadership from Raila Odinga, they are wasting their time. They will get nothing for their efforts. Yeah, the train has moved. The ship has moved. What is now left is an empty shell. That is the ODM we used to know. Okay? That is the harsh political reality. Please understand that the massive support on the ground that Raila Odinga used to enjoy in Luo Nyanza was always triggered by Raila sycophants, the fanatical supporters of Raila, who may not be very many, but oh my, they are excellent mobilizers. But you see, what is going to happen now is that even if they mobilize, they will find that in the absence of the old Raila, their efforts will be ineffective. They will no longer work. That is really what it is. You know, the biggest mistake most analysts make is to assume that the Luo community is only based in Luo Nyanza. They forget that a huge percentage of the population of Nairobi, a huge percentage of those who are at the forefront of the Gen Z revolution are also from Luo Nyanza. And they have not changed their position. From that moment at the very beginning, when they addressed Raila and told Raila, please, stand aside, please, Mzee, sit down and relax. We've got this one. We've got this. From that moment, they have not changed their stand, their political stand. And therefore this view amongst many, that people are saying that now that we're in government, tumetuliza boli, my friends, that is a mirage. Yes, you think you're seeing water there in the horizon, but actually when you get closer, it is not water. It is just sand. Endless sand in this endless desert. For avoidance of doubt, let us ask ourselves a question and answer it. Now, what does this mean for the Ruto regime? Does it mean that for Ruto, the worst is over? Does it mean that for Ruto going forward, things are going to be better? Does it mean that we'll get to 2027, where some people are very convinced the election has already been rigged? Does it mean that? The answer is a very firm, emphatic no. What has happened here is, as far as the Ruto presidency is concerned, and threats to that presidency, political threats, mambo bado. Mambo bado. Tena bado sana. Okay? And you don't have to believe me. Okay? Time always tells. Now, very quickly before I go, I am almost at that number I was looking for concerning the highly sensitive special report that reveals a lot about what is unfolding on our local political scene, especially to do with a man called Raila Odinga and his bid for the African Union position. Now, if truth be told, it takes a lot to shock me, yeah, with all the experience I've had in politics and with all the years the Ancient of Days has blessed me with. I tend to believe that I've seen it all. But this thing, what has happened in local politics, shocked me. Even me, it shocked me to my bones. And I'm sure it will do the same to you. And you will realize that Kenya, the country called Kenya, is in a much more serious situation, is in a much more precarious position than it has ever been in its entire lifetime as an independent country. Oh yes. Now you can see details on your screens right now. For only Kenya shillings 2,999, you can have this valuable information. I have also thrown in a couple of other highly sensitive videos, that many of you have not seen, as a bonus in this particular offer. And I highly recommend it. Now, payment details are on your screens right now, but they're also repeated in the description area below this video on YouTube, and also in the comments area. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.